Oh yeah, yeah. Finally, I'm streaming. I think. I hope. So, hey people, how you doing? I hope this is working. It says it's working. I had to over here at Mum's place get this working. We're gonna do live archaeology, live discovery the first time. Instead of just looking at me, we're looking at you. We're looking at the screen. This is gonna be so cool. We're gonna look at a discovery of ancient architects, the Black Pyramid of Norden. I'll open that window a bit. I hope this works. I hope this goes really good. We're going to verify the archaeology and see what's going on. I hope everyone's been okay. Hope everyone's been good. This is just so good. So let's get into it. Just someone type something to verify if this is all working and stuff. I'm going to show you how to do archaeoastronomy. We're going to do this discovery together. You and me and no one else. We're just going to do this whole discovery. It's going to be the best thing ever. And Erin says, yes! Hey, Erin. And we're just going to get into this. Now, what do we know about the Wall of the Crow? What do we know about everything? Well, let's have a look. So, let me first make my face a bit smaller. Let's see if this works. I'm just going to do that, because we don't need to see me. We just need to see this. And now let's get into this. So here we go. This was in the. Can everyone see this? Let me just check. There's the live stream window. Yeah, this is so fantastic. Thank you. Yes, we're doing live discovery. We're going to do live archaeology, and you can chime in if I'm on the right track, if you're on the right track, who's on the right track, whatever's on the right track. It's going to be amazing. Whoa. Hello from Australia. Now I won't be able to see you because I don't have the second monitor. I'm on this laptop. I couldn't do it from my place. I have to be somewhere else. At my place, the internet's too slow. But here we got the National Broadband Network, so we can do this. Now, do you people see this? This was in the Express. I've spoken to ancient architects about this amazing discovery of his. It's incredible. I was astounded. He is a very smart cookie. Now, Egypt breakthrough. Lost fourth pyramid of Giza found after remarkable discovery. Egypt historian Matthew Simpson says he has discovered evidence of a fourth pyramid of Giza, first described by an explorer 300 years ago. And basically, the Giza Plateau is home to the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Pyramid of Khafre and the Pyramid of Menkaure, all built during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom. But according to the account of Frederick Ludwig Norden, 1737, there once stood a fourth pyramid to the west of the Menkaure pyramid, which was later destroyed to build the city of Cairo. Almost 300 years later, Mr. Simpson revisited the description to see if he could find any hard evidence, posting the results on his YouTube channel, Ancient Architects. He said, using Norden's own words, looking at the topography of the land and also drawing on my research from the past couple of years, I believe I have found the location of where the lost fourth pyramid of Giza once stood. Looking at satellite photos of Giza, we are looking at for an area slightly west of the main rough diagonal axis, an area beyond the pyramid of Menkaure. I used to think the pyramid may well have sat in the rectangular enclosure to the west of the Menkaure pyramid, but this doesn't really match Norden's words. Looking at his map, we can instantly see that it isn't to scale or accurate when comparing it to a satellite photo, but it does give us a rough estimate of how the pyramids were laid out, and the fourth pyramid certainly isn't due west of the Menkaure pyramid. And there's the sketch. I did make a video a couple of years back saying that's one of Menkaure's satellite pyramids, but I'm not sure because I thought one of them turned black. Seasonally, it was a certain type of sandstone that looked black. And over here, Wall of the Crow, we're going to look into this and what's going on. An ancient causeway. And I thought, yeah, ancient must be right. Because if you look at the Wall of the Crow, and I really wanted to show you this, this is hilarious. He put a crow there. He put a crow there. So I thought that's hilarious. But that's what it looks like, basically there. And yes, he's right. It's a causeway. It's a causeway. Let me see. Let me go back to the live stream. Let's see what people are saying. Hey people. So Erin, hey Monkey King's here. Hey Monkey King. Hey Marcel Stegman. Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice. We got 24 people online. That's good. It'll go up to about 80 later on. as people realise. But yeah, this is really cool. So what we're going to do, people, for those who have just chimed in, we're going to verify whether or not this is a discovery or not. Now, based on all that, let me just play the video from that article first. And we're going to look at the Khentkawes causeway, and we're also going to look at that Wall of the Crow to see what the alignment is, to see whether or not that is in fact a discovery. And I really wanted to do this live, and I haven't done this yet. I just want to do it with you guys, so you can see. That's an interesting photo. So you can see what is going on and how it all works, and we can do the discovery together. I think that's really cool. There's a video here, I believe, from Ancient Architects. We're just going to look at that briefly. I think it's just built in here. Make sure to donate so that the executives can get 2/3 of everything you donate, because they're only making about 150k a year at the moment because of the COVID. So make sure to do that, you know. But over here, let's go to, I believe that's the video, so we'll get that out of the way. There it is. Let's play it. Just let me know if you can all see this video playing, because I've never streamed before. This is streaming. This is like, you know, recording my desktop. So yeah, oh yeah. Oh, you get car insurance. Let's just skip that, shall we? We don't need to watch that.
Of the Menkaure pyramid, but this doesn't really work as it doesn't match Norden's words. Looking at this crude map by Norden, we can instantly see that it isn't to scale or accurate when comparing it to a satellite photograph of Giza, but it does give us a rough estimate of how the pyramids were laid out, and the fourth pyramid certainly isn't due west of the Menkaure pyramid. This sketch by Norden, looking towards the southwest, also shows that the fourth pyramid is on the diagonal, and again is not due west of the Menkaure pyramid. So, the obvious place for the pyramid to be is in this space right here, outside the Menkaure enclosure, and outside of the rectangular enclosure as well. This would put the missing pyramid slightly due west of the rough axis of the three main pyramids, and also on what looks to be some flat prepared ground.
Okay, so would that connect to the Wall of the Crow? I'm not sure, but let's just look at the Wall of the Crow to see what's going on. We don't want to see any more videos from that. Did people see the video? Let's just see what people are seeing on the comments. American Freedom Fighter, hey, love your work, brother, but if you're truly in Australia, wouldn't you speak backwards? Or I would speak according to the Coriolis effect.
He's good, I can hear him sniffing around somewhere.
What is that?
Travis!
I don't want to hear that. Let me get rid of that. What was I saying? I would talk according to the Coriolis effect, because I would be swirling. Wouldn't my face be swirling in a funny direction? Wouldn't that happen? Yeah. So, hey, Alan says, yes, Chuck, a banger on the barbecue, mate, you bugger. Right, good. So yeah, let's look at a map of Giza and let's see what's going on. This is the live stream. It's going to be so cool. And we're going to discover together. This is what I wanted to do. Now, I feel Ancient Architect might have got some inspiration from this website. This bloke here, artificedesign.co.uk, he suggests it's an ancient causeway as well. So they've both got that theory. But he, unlike Ancient Architects, he doesn't seem to know, he doesn't seem to have connected it with the Norden pyramid, that black pyramid. So he just says, fragment of ancient causeway, midsummer, and here there's nothing. But he shows that the midsummer sunrise actually lines up with that ancient causeway. And then he suggests the midsummer sunrise lines up with this causeway as well. But actually it does not, because we showed that this is more in April. This is not lining up with, not really lining up with midsummer. It's more like the start of spring. But yeah, this is very interesting. So there we have another causeway going in that direction there. And then we have the equinoctial causeway pointing to the equinoxes, where day and night are equal. And on an equinox, it doesn't matter where on the planet you are, the sun will rise and set east and west, due east and west. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool, people? So it's time to get out the software and have a look at the Wall of the Crow and all this. So let's go to Giza and let's check it out. Now, here we have the pyramids of Giza. So we have the Great Pyramid of Giza, temporarily closed. we have a necropolis. So we have the really good tombs in the Eastern Cemetery at the front. We have the shoddier tombs in the back. So we have the Khafre Pyramid, we have the Menkore Pyramid. And here's the thing, guys. People were not aware of the causeways 100 years ago. People didn't know about them. They found out about them, I think, just after the Second World War. And since then, there's hardly been much archaeology. But here's the causeway. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the Wall of the Crow. And it has the same alignment, it seems, as Khentkawes. Just the same alignment as from the Khentkawes Pyramid. So here it says Valley Temple of Menkore. Actually, it's the Khentkawes Pyramid. I think they got that one wrong. That's wrong. That's Khentkawes, and it goes in that direction. What does it point to? We'll find out. Here seems to be an Islamic cemetery. There's always been an Islamic cemetery at Giza. It is a cemetery. There's always been a cemetery here, so it doesn't matter who's occupying it. It's a cemetery. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, can someone verify, but that's looks pretty much like the Wall of the Crow right there. Massive wall. What's it doing there? It goes into the sand, disappears. It seems to vanish. It probably goes further, but it's vanished. It's been destroyed. Here you've got some mastaba or something underneath there. Another one there, but it's all under everything. This was covered over, buried. I think that's the Wall of the Crow right there. If we zoom in, it's got some design on top. That's interesting. Look at that. It's got like a pyramid on top of there. So we're going to look at what alignment that is. So I'll go back to the comments and see what people are saying, because this is otherwise there's no point doing a live stream. So yes, Great Monkey King says that video is playing. Good. Alan retracted his message. American Freedom Fighter, gotta admit, you'd be the first artist to try to be accurate. Erin Murphy, you could see and hardly hear the... Yes, we could see and hardly hear the vid. Okay. Tell him we're dreaming says, yep, saw the vid. Great Monkey King X said, where is the Wall of the Crow? Who knows says, hi from Ireland, brother. G'day. Alan Godden says, like Iram, I can't imagine what else lies beneath the sands. Indeed. So, let's see. Let's do the live stream and let's see what hell lies beneath. And let's see what it's pointing to. This is going to be so exciting. I'm so excited. Do you guys feel the suspense with me about what this thing is going to point to? I just can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what this thing points to. So let's find out, okay? So this is a window. You need a Mac computer. It's this is called Helium, this program. I showed it to you before. And we're going to put this website, SunCalc, into Helium. So we go back to Helium by clicking the Helium. And we open a web URL. Plug that in. Load. And now SunCalc will load on this, and we're simply going to overlay it on top of what's going on. So now SunCalc is in here. I don't need that window anymore. And we're going to overlay it on top of that, right? On top of that. So how do we do that? Okay, so yeah, I got it. You need the cookies. I understand that. You're the cookie monster. You want the cookies. That's okay. That's okay. You want the cookies. So what we're going to do, we're going to shift this over. Firstly, we're going to shift that to Cairo, so it's on the money. And then, now it's over Cairo. Now, this hat shows us alignments. So, if we just click, it'll show us, If we just, so it shows us exactly when the sunrise and the sunset is on this particular alignment. And this is really cool. This is the alignment today. And this is the range. As you see, it says that this is the range where the sun rises and sets within a year. Obviously, the causeway is pointing to something solar related. This is so cool. So, how do we find out? How do we overlay it? What we do is we just go back to click the Helium, and now we make it translucent. So we enable it, and that's about it. And now, as you see, do you see what we can do? Oh yeah. So now that's the Wall of the Crow there. Can everyone see that? I'll just go back to the live streaming window. Erin says extremely excited. That's good. John Andrews, AAAA is so annoying with the bell not working. So annoying with the bell not working. Okay. Great Monkey King says, where's the Wall of the Crow? So let's check the alignment and see what, for the first time in history, what the heck this thing is pointing to. I am so excited myself. Can't wait to see what it's pointing to. This is another part of the Giza mystery that we're going to solve. We've already seen that Khafre points to Halloween. We've seen that equinox points to a Nile festival. We've seen that Khufu points to the festival of the flowers, the spring flowers, as well as a festival of Nile abundance. So it's an abundance pyramid, whereas the Khafre is a death pyramid. Okay, so let's do it. So let's go back to there, and to align it with the wall of the crow, which is going into that Islamic cemetery. What we do is we got to change the dates. So we're basically going to plug in some dates and see what happens. So I'm clicking that. I'm clicking that. Okay, I'm clicking. Come on. Just, do I have to click that maybe? Okay, now it'll work. Ah, there we go. So let's try July, and there'll be 2 dates for this. There will be 2 dates a year that this lines up to, which is really cool. So I'm just going to play with these dates and see, and you see that's moving. All right, we're getting closer. So we'll move out of July to the latter half of the year date. Let's try August. Oh, we're getting somewhere. Okay, let's move to the end of August. Oh, it's getting better. And what the priests would have done is they would walk along this alignment with the sun behind them, following their shadow towards the pyramid. Or, alternately, they'd be going back towards the pyramid, walking into the sun. And this is just incredible. This is how they would have done it. Archaeologists don't have a clue about this, but you tell me what else was happening here. This is what was happening at sunrise. So let's try. We need to. Oh, I need to do that again. So we need to try another date. Let's try. So let's try September. We're getting closer. So what we're going to do? Ooh. So we've gone a little bit. That's almost on the money. It looks like it's 1 day earlier or later. That's not quite on. We want it exact. You can get it. It's so long you can get it exact. So let's go to the 11th. Say, yeah, it's something more like that. The 11th or the 12th. Yeah, I like that better. That looks better to me, the 12th. So what's the 12th of September? So I'm going to write down 12th of September. 12th September. And this is the first time in history it's been done, people, because, people don't have this software. So you need to be an astronomer, mathematician. Otherwise, I'm not. I wouldn't do this without this software. But the archaeologists, they will not try this because it's a little bit too difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically look up festivals, pagan festival, September 12th. So if I go pagan festival, festivals. So pagan festivals. Let's just look up pagan festivals. I'll move helium out of the way to down there. So Wheel of the Year. What's Wheel of the Year? I don't know what Wheel of the Year is. I've never heard of that. So is something happening in September? No, that's 21 September. That's Mabon. Is this something new? This could be something new. I don't trust this article one bit. Let's see what people are saying about this. Let me see. So, American Freedom Fighter says flat and square sides. Freedom Fighter says, I live in an area in northern Minnesota that was under the glacier 10,000 years ago. There's a large granite stone deposits left everywhere. Most large stones are round like river stones. Some have flat. Lucas says, greetings, Charles and friends. Aaron, crazy ancient stuff around the Great Lakes and many mounds in Minnesota. Ancient history criticism. Hello, Charles and chat. Hello, ancient criticisms. Wow, and ancient criticism. You have a big channel now. You got the subbies happening. Amanda said, I'll just move this window out of the way. Spring. So Amanda says, pointing to spring, 27th September. That was this Mabon festival, but we're looking for 12th of September. But yeah, it's about spring, isn't it? That's autumn, isn't it? That's the beginning of autumn or something. So Erin says, are these alignments the same as 3,000 to 5,000 years ago? They are, because they totally are, because they like, I'll tell you how different it is. The Khafre Halloween alignment points to the 30th. Halloween is the 31st, so it's almost dead on. So it's not too different, to be honest. Amanda B says, I'm from Ryde, Hunters Hill. Nice, but where is that? I don't know quite where that is. Nice. Okay, so let's get back to this research. Let's move this thing out of the way. You have to click there, and then you can do that. And so let's look up pagan festivals, COPTIC. COPTIC, and then we're going to find what this thing points to, what festival was being celebrated at the Wall of the Crow, if it's astronomical or not. So this is the way you do it, I guess. I don't know any other way to do it. So if we look up these are I'll get this thing out of the way. Let's move down to there. So Thaut, Paupi, Hathor, Kodak. These are the months, the Egyptian months, right? Tobi, Meshir, Paramhat, Paramuti, Passions, Pani, Epip, Mizori, and Pi, Kogi, Enavot. Right. So this is quite interesting, and there's different calendars. So whether it's the Julian or the Gregorian. Currently, we're in the Gregorian calendar, so we have to look at the Gregorian calendar if we want to line up with today's software. So, in my opinion, 11 September to 10 October. It's actually the beginning of the month of Thoth, which is interesting. So that is basically 12 Sept, 11 Sept. It's the first day of the month of Thoth. Now that's really interesting. The month of Thoth is the first month of the season of inundation in ancient Egypt, when the Nile floods historically covered the land of Egypt. It has not done so since the construction of the high dam at Aswan. And by the way, I don't know any of this. I'm doing this discovery live with you because I wanted to do it live with you guys. Yep. So you can take part in it. You can look up your own stuff, make your own comments. I might not be looking at the right website. You can look up your own website now, find out what 12th of September is. We do the discovery together, share the information with each other. How good is this? The name comes from Thoth, ancient Egyptian god of wisdom and science, inventor of writing, patron of scribes, and he who designates the seasons, months, and years. Thoth presided over the House of Life, which were composed and copied all texts necessary for the maintenance and replenishment of life. So there we go. 12th September. Martyrdom of John the Baptist. Martyrdom of St. Dacia the soldier. And look, honestly, every day seems to have something for them to celebrate. So that's not quite good enough for us. We need this to be a major day. But let's keep looking. Beginning of the blessed Coptic New Year. Well, I would say that's it. September 11, beginning of the Coptic New Year. I think it lines up more with 12, so it might have moved a bit. But that's it. It's the beginning of the Coptic New Year. Feast of El Neiruz. Is that Nazareth? El Neiruz. Martyrdom of St. Bartholomew the Apostle. Departure of St. Avilius, 3rd Pope of Alexandria. So it's the Coptic New Year. That is very interesting indeed. So what's going on with Coptic New Year? Let's see what people have to say about this. Back to the live streaming. Lucas says, great, Charles. Amanda, it's a good month. Yes, doors open, Charles. So Ben's Monkey Science says, hey, handsome. John says, the month of September was known as Halagmonath, meaning holy month, which may indicate that it had special religious significance. Thoth, Hermes or Ningishida, who he is really. It's written he built the pyramid, son of the lord of the abyss Enki. Oh, Amanda's in Sydney. Nice. Right. So Ride's in Sydney. Yeah, okay. I thought it might be Aussie. It rings a bell. Alex Hill says Equinox 21 September 3 Assange. Nice. So this is very interesting. So we're looking at Coptic New Year. So let's see what happens on the Coptic New Year, since the Wall of the Crow seems to point to it. Egyptian Christians celebrate Coptic New Year Nairuz today. So it's interesting, and of course it's not just Coptic, it's ancient Egyptian, and the Coptics say they say they're the original Egyptians. They say the Arabs are a different people. Let's see what it says. Today, the Coptic community, one of several minorities in Egypt, celebrates the beginning of the year 1732 on the Coptic calendar, Anno Martyrdom, or AM, Latin for Era of the Martyrs. The Coptic New Year, Nairus, is celebrated on September 11 on the Georgian calendar, except for the year preceding a leap year when it's celebrated on September 12th. Based on... I don't like how websites do that, Based on the ancient Egyptian calendar, the Copts still adopt this 13-month calendar to date. So that's what it says, Nairuz. Inspired by the agriculture seasons of the Egyptian year, the calendar represents the three main seasons: the flooding of the Nile, vegetation, and reaping and harvesting. So there you go, it goes back to ancient Egypt. While Nowruz is celebrated among Copts, and despite the calendar being associated to the Coptic New Year, outside the walls of the church, modern-day Egyptian farmers of all faiths and religions use the calendar as a basis for regulating the cycle of seeding and harvesting crops. Foreign to the origins of the Gregorian calendar, the Coptic calendar's months are named differently, starting with Taut and ending with Nasi. So it starts with Thoth. So the month of Thoth, and these are all Hathor. See, Hathor, Toba. These are all Egyptian gods, and they're also Egyptian months. And I think there are a few, to be honest, I think there are a few different Egyptian calendars. There's this one, and there's another one with 3 main months or 3 seasons, and then there's another one as well, I think. And then you start to have some other months which are built around festivals and things. But so the Wall of the Crow is the Egyptian New Year. So Nowruz, which is celebrated on the first day of Taut, commemorates the era of martyrdom that Copts endured under the Roman Emperor Diocletian circa 280 CE. Hence the naming of the calendar as Era of the Martyrs. According to Coptic tradition, Diocletian is narrated to have been infamous for torturing and executing thousands of Christians, unsuccessfully forcing them to deny their faith. Despite the great suffering, the era of martyrs is remembered as the Church's strongest period due to its ability to withstand and survive the challenges unchanged. Tertullian, a 2nd century Western Church father, states that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the Church, which is a saying and concept that has been adopted by churches since then until our current day. So these are Coptic Christians praying. And this comes from ancient Egypt. This is the ancient Egyptian tradition. According to Nabil Farouk's book, the Nowruz feast, oldest feast for the oldest nation, the suffix us was added under the Hellenistic era. Arabian culture has left its mark on Egyptian society. The word Yarunus was thought to originate from the Persian New Year, Novruz, which translates to new day, influencing the change of the suffix to us instead of us. Its alterations and modifications made it to what is known today, Nowruz. Red dates are symbolic of the martyrs' suffering and traditionally eaten during Nowruz in Egypt. Coptic Orthodox Christians, both in Egypt and abroad, culturally celebrate the New Year by eating red dates. So this would go back to ancient traditions, I guess. The date's red exterior symbolizes the blood of the martyrs, the white insides represent the purity of their hearts and the seeds, and the dates stand for the strength of their faith. Some also eat the guava fruit, which has similar symbolism as red dates. Deriving from the Church's belief that the martyr's strength of faith is its foundation and core, Coptic Christians relive the struggle of their ancestors, relive it through celebration and commemoration to remind themselves that these martyrs should not solely belong to the past but ought to live on. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting indeed. So that is the Coptic New Year, and that is what the Wall of the Crow points to. So was there a pyramid there? You can judge for yourself. It seems, look, honestly, that's another one there. Isn't that another wall? It's not just the Wall of the Crow, there's something else. And if we keep extending it, we go up to somewhere over here. What's this line here? There's another, okay, that's a modern thing. Okay, it's modern, we ignore that. So where does it go? There doesn't seem to be a pyramid. So here's what, so ancient architects said he feels this discovery was wrong. Oh, there's another causeway. He feels this discovery was wrong because he thought some of his friends went to have a look and they said, well, it looks like there's nothing there. There's no pyramid where he said there was a pyramid. So now he says it's possibly for some enclosure, but like it could be for an enclosure, yeah. But to me, that's a causeway still. The discovery stands. It's and clearly this is pointing to the Coptic New Year. Let's see if it points to the ancient Egyptian New Year. So, ancient Egyptian New Year. This is going to be interesting. Ancient Egyptian New Year, Wepet, Renpet. So let's go to 5 ancient New Year celebrations. Let's check this website on history.com. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't screw up my computer. So the Babylonian Aki, it's like Aku, like Akutfutu, Aki, that's interesting. Aki. A New Year's celebration from 2000 BC and a ritual humiliation endured by the Babylonian king. The peculiar tradition saw the king brought to the statue of Marduk, stripped of his royal regalia and forced to swear that he had led the city with honour. A high priest would then slap the monarch and drag him by the ears in the hope of making him cry. If royal tears were shed, it was seen as a sign that Marduk was satisfied and had symbolically extended the king's rule. Some historians have since argued that these political elements suggest the Akitu was used by the monarch as a tool for reaffirming the king's divine power over his people. Great, okay. Janice, so let's go to Wepet Renpet. Ancient Egyptian culture was closely tied to the Nile River, and it appears the New Year corresponded with its annual flight according to the Roman writer Censorius. The Egyptian New Year was predicted when Osiris, the brightest star in the night sky, first became visible after a 70-day absence. Better known as the Heliacal Rising, this phenomenon typically occurred in mid-July, just before the annual inundation of the Nile River, which helped ensure farmlands remained fertile for the coming year. Egyptians celebrated this new beginning with a festival which known as Wepet Renpet, which means opening of the year. Right, interesting. So it's when Osiris became visible after a 70-day absence. The new year is seen as a time of rebirth and rejuvenation, honoured with feasts and special religious rites. Not unlike many people today, the Egyptians may have also used this as an excuse for getting tipsy. Recent discoveries at the Temple of Mut show that during the festival of Hatshepsut, the first month of the year played host to a festival of drunkenness. This massive party was tied to the myth of Sekhmet, a war goddess who had planned to kill all of humanity until the sun god Ra tricked her into drinking herself unconscious. In honour of mankind's salvation, the Egyptians would celebrate with music, sex, revelry, and perhaps most of all, copious amounts of beer. Okay, so we're going to look up when is Wepet Renpet. When is Wepet Renpet? And this will tell us something. So, festivals of ancient Egypt, Wepet Renpet, annual flooding of the Nile, heavenly cycle, 70-day absence from view. What is it? Yeah, but we want to know when it is, don't we? I'd love to know when it is. Please tell me when it is. Let's look at this ancient history encyclopedia, and while it's loading, I'll go to the comments. So, Monaco says, "Hi Charles and everybody, it's great to see you all here. I'll stay as long as I can. I dig Egypt." Lots of people want to dig in Egypt, don't they? So, to those who have just joined us, we're doing live archaeology. We're looking at the alignments. So, we've just found the Wall of the Crow that ancient architects says points to Norden's pyramid, Norden's Black Pyramid. Or he used to say that. Now he's not sure about that discovery. He reckons that now he reckons it's just an enclosure, but we've seen it points to the Egyptian New Year, the Coptic New Year, and now we're trying to verify if it's the same as the ancient Egyptian New Year. So festivals in ancient Egypt. So let's try and find when Wepet. Can someone find when Wepet Renpet is, please? I don't know when the hell it is. It doesn't seem to. Here we go. The opening of the year, New Year's celebration. Feasting and drinking were part of the festival, as they were for most. The celebration would last for days. The length varied depending on the time period. Solemn rituals related to the death of Osiris were observed, as well as singing and dancing to celebrate his rebirth. The call and response poem known as Lamentations of Isis and Nephitis was recited at the beginning to call Osiris to his feast. Yeah, okay, so this is so fascinating. There's lots of festivals, as you can see. Just lots of festivals. There's heaps of festivals. But yeah, this is just so cool. So, Ancient Origins, they'll tell us when it is. Okay, let's find out. Let's see if Ancient Origins can tell us when it is. I'll see if someone's found it, because I want to see if it corresponds to the 12th September, like that alignment does. So, Amanda B says, bins in my yard. Yep. Ironic, eh? Nice. Ancient History Criticism says, Andrew Collins thinks there is a Cygnus connection at Giza. So that's interesting. We haven't seen anything Cygnus so far from ancient Egypt, or have we? I'm not sure. Not quite sure. Yeah. So Man Network says, "I love your work. Please keep going. You're asking questions the mainstream refuses to." Nice, cool. So let's keep looking and let's see if we can find when Renpet is. So this site looks promising to me. New Year's is celebrated on the 1st, but this is not the only type of New Year's celebration. Read more. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. This is so exciting. Woo. And after this, we're going to check the Khentkawes causeway, and we might check what other alignments we can see at Giza as well. In addition to the ones we've done in the previous videos, showing Halloween, the Festival of Flowers, the Equinox, the Festival of Entering the Temple on the Khafre Pyramid. In many countries around the world, New Year's Day is celebrated on the 1st. Okay, let's go. Okay, China. It's going to China. Yeah. Okay. That's you know what? That's not quite what we were looking for. So I'm just going to back the heck out of this, and we're going to look for some more promising fertile fields. Yeah. Okay. So. It looks like it's in. Could Wepet Renpet be in July? So it looks like this is the problem. It could be Julian calendar. Is it Gregorian? Is it Julian? It's hard to tell. In July, priests would watch for the reappearance of Osiris after a 70-day absence. So according to this, Wepet Renpet is in July. Okay, that's interesting. So Wepet Renpet is probably not the same as the Coptic New Year. So what this is pointing to is the Coptic New Year. So that's really interesting, and that's really cool. So let's see what else is happening at Giza, because I'm curious. So let's bring back the helium window, which is down there. There we go. And let's move the Giza window to, let's find the Khentkawes causeway over here. And let's, so here we have the Khentkawes pyramid, which is, according to many people, much older than Giza, right? And here is some kind of causeway in front of it. So what the hell is the pyramid itself? We can just line it up with one of the sides of the pyramid, or we can line it up with that. But it's harder to line it up with that. But we can try. So let's move it down here. It looks like it's the same as the Wall of the Crow, by the way. But let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's see. So let's have a look. Right. Okay, it's different. It seems to be different. So what I need to do is make this window less translucent. So I just change the opacity to, whoops, needs to go the other way. Change the opacity 30%. That's a lot better. So now we can start to see what's going on. So let's bring up let's line it up with one of the sides of the pyramid. That would work a lot better for us. Because the pyramid itself, as you say, it's not northeast, southwest. It's twisted. It's like the First Dynasty tombs. Now it's almost on, but not quite. So I need to change that a bit. Yeah, I think I need to change that. But this is actually hard to see what the causeway is pointing to because it's a fat causeway. So if I point it on there, see that's kind of almost dead on, isn't it? If I put it right there. It's dead on, but there it's a bit different. There it's more like, well, I don't know. What do you think? Is it dead on, or is it? I think it's. I'll have to shift it a bit. So let's try shifting it to. What have I done? Let's try shifting it to. Yeah. Let's. Okay. I see what's happening. Okay. Yeah, yeah, something's happening. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, let me get back to... Come on, give me the map. Yeah, let's get back to that. Back to the map, come on. Get back to the map, please. Get back to the map. Alright, I'll just get this helium out of the way. And we're going to look up Giza. Come on, Giza. Oh yeah. There you go. Giza is full of people. That's Giza. Okay, but we're looking for the pyramids Giza, which is there. There's Khentkawes right there. As you see, it's very First Dynasty, pointing off in a funny direction like that. Bring back helium. Yeah, it's not quite on the pyramid, so we need to bring that down. So I'm going to try another date. I'm going to try, let's try the 18th. Nope, we need to go the other way. The 9th. Yeah, that looks good. It's around the 9th. Let's see if that matches. Nah. It's between the 9th and the 11th. So I have to say, it's probably the same festival. It's probably the Coptic New Year Festival, which is what this causeway is pointing to. So you have to wonder, were these pyramids used in Christian times? I mean, let's see what the people have to say about this. It's quite interesting. Let's click there, see what the people say. Let's move that window out of the way. So, Ancient History Criticism says, trying to catch up, been taking a break, getting back to the swing of things. Ancient History also says, yeah, that's Gebel Gibli, Big Round Cemetery. Apparently, there was a well at the centre of the cemetery. Maybe the causeway is leading to a holy well. Alan says, Amanda, Google is Thoth Lucifer. You'll be surprised at the Egyptian history you'll find. Amanda says, well, true history is sacred. New Holland I'm doing much research. My home ain't what you thought, Australia. Latin, great to learn. Sean says, Chucky, what's up, mate? Hey, what's up, Sean? Sean, what we're doing, we're looking for alignments at Giza, and we've sort of done what we promised to do in this video, which is look at the Khentkawes alignment and look at the Wall of the Crow, which ancient architects said is connected to Norden's pyramid, although he's now backtracked from that. But yes, it points to the Coptic New Year. Incredible. How good is that? So this is an ancient ceremonial walkway which you do at New Year's. You walk with the sun at your back or towards the sun. The priests would have done this for thousands of years, and it still points to this, showing that it hasn't really probably shifted that much since ancient times. Ancient History Criticism says, a line drawn from the northwest corner through the southeast corner of Khentkawes Mastaba may point to the centre of the cemetery. Oh, you know what? Why don't we try that? So, you're saying from the northwest through to the southeast. Okay, let's try. This is why we're doing it live. Northwest to southeast. Okay, so I see what you mean. You're saying a line from there to... Right, we have to bring up the line tool or something. I'm not sure how you would do that, but if we just estimate, we just draw a line through, it just goes down to about, I'd say it goes down to about there. So it's crossing, it's actually pointing to this mound, I suppose. I don't know if you'd call that the centre of the cemetery. I mean, where's the cemetery always been? Who knows? But it's pointing to basically down around here. But it's hitting around there. But that's very interesting. Like you know, you can see it like it's sort of skirting the edge of this, isn't it? And the line's continuing along the edge of this cliff, and then it's sort of going down there. But I see what you mean. Like certainly there's something to this. And look, there's more stuff everywhere, people. Like you look. Like, what is this? Like north-south facing mounds. That ain't natural. That's ceremonial. So even on here, they had some temples or churches or something going on. Even odder. Okay, I'm going to put it to you. This cemetery goes back to ancient Egypt because you have the grand tombs closer to the sun, and you have the shoddier tombs at the back. And I bet you this is a continuity from ancient times, just like you have the grand tombs at Giza at the front of the nobles, and I think that one's Kufukaf, I'm not sure. And you have the rubbish tombs at the back, except for the mastaba of Hemiunu, the architect, and that big one there. That's so cool. That's so good. And of course, we're on a big fat plateau. There's a strange curve here. Why is there... What's this curve? Oh, it's just a road, maybe. Maybe it's not a cliff. The cliff is, as you see, it's here, and it's there at the back. And there would have been water surrounding this whole area, and almost lapping up to the pyramids. So you would have seen the pyramids surrounded by water in ancient times. Let's see what people have to say. Oh yeah, so Jafuli says, yo, how's it going, Chucky? And the cosmonauts. Ricky says, hey, Chuckles. Hey, Ricky. Now the comments are going good. Okay, so Ancient says interesting mound. Yeah, good point, Charles. Ricky says Cave of Wonders. What we're doing, Ricky? Well, we found out that the. So I'm gonna even write here. Hi everyone. We found out today, live, that the Khentkawes and Wall of Crow causeways match the Coptic New Year, SEPT 11. Wow. So that's, people can read that. And that's what we've just done live. Wow. So there we go. There are more Giza alignments, and it looks like the Coptic Church has inherited. You know what? Wouldn't you say that the Coptic Church began at Giza based on these alignments? I mean, that's cool. So Great Monkey King says, hypothesis confirmed. These ancient causeways mark ancient holy days. Modernist archaeology clueless and intellectually bankrupt. Yeah, you can say that again. Now, to show you the other causeways, what I did was in my previous, I don't know what that's going to go to. It's going to that song, as always. What I'll do, I'll go to my channel and I'm going to show you just a still picture showing you what the other alignments point to, because archaeologists don't know this. So I ask you to share this video. People don't have a clue about this. They know nothing about any of this. If we go down, and YouTube's been suppressing my videos as well, like 1.7k for a Giza video. I would have got that when I had 5,000 subscribers, and now at 47,000, you know, something weird's going on. So we just go to Giza's Greatest Secret, this video here, and I just need to make it bigger like that, just full screen that, and that's what I wanted to show you basically. So Khufu points to April 22, Festival of Spring Breeze, August 19, Transfiguration. Now, why would it point to a Christian festival? It's because Transfiguration is actually walking up a mountain and then transfiguring yourself, changing colour, changing. Jesus was glowing like the sun when he transfigured on this holy unknown mountain that he walked up. And the fact is, Moses did the same sort of mountain ritual. Because he went up a mountain as well. He saw a burning bush on top of a mountain. So it's a mountain religion. And that's a mountain. Khufu's a mountain. Khafre's a mountain. Menkare's a mountain. And Khafre, death of the pyramid. So I've suggested Khafre is a pyramid of the moon. Khufu is a pyramid of the sun. Menkore is a pyramid of the feathered serpent. And that would match what is going on at Teotihuacan. Where you have the sun, you actually have the moon, the sun, and the feathered serpent. But this must be the Avenue of the Dead because it points to Halloween. At Teotihuacan, you have an Avenue of the Dead. And this points to October the 30th, Halloween. It also points to February the 15th, entrance into the temple by Holy Child. Oh, guys, what's wrong with me? I forgot to look up the second alignment. There's two alignments for the Khentkawes pyramid. We're going to look at the second alignment now. How good is this? Lucky you reminded me. Someone reminded me, or I reminded myself. So we're going to check that out. Wow, what's wrong with me? Okay, so let's bring it back up. Let's bring it up and let's look up the second alignment. This is so cool. But first, let's check the comments. So, yep, okay, the comments have moved a bit. Door Open Champion. Alan says, Revelation of the Pyramids is a fantastic academic documentary. Minnie says, truly remarkable, mate. Well done. Ricky says, brainwashed by academia. Man Network says, your stream was on for a good while before I was notified. Ancient History Criticism says, people may be too wrapped up in videos about the current event situation. Ricky says, transmutation. Jafuli says, unsub everyone but Chucky. Thanks, mate. Great Monkey says, if YouTube is suppressing your videos, you're dangerous, brother. Yeah, I guess it means I'm right over the target. So, yeah. It says, warning, please check the video resolution. The current resolution is 1024 by 640, which, whatever. It didn't tell me that before, but whatever. We're going to keep going. I guess the video is okay. If it seems to be coming through okay for me, so if it's coming through okay for you, that's good, you know. Ricky says, zombie mountain. Well, indeed, if you have Halloween pointing to a mountain, that's quite interesting. So we're going to see what the second alignment is very soon. I'm getting excited again. This is great. So Ancient says, nubs on the Giza pyramids, nubs in South America. Indeed, we're looking at Solomon's lost empire. This is amazing. And Jafuli says, we're super lucky to have Chucky. I'm super lucky to have you, Jafuli. This is cool as. So let's check the alignment. Are you excited? Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm really excited. This is so good. So let's check the alignment. Now, we're going to go back to the Wall of the Crow. There's the Wall of the Crow. It's easy to see. We can see it's basically the same as the Khentkawes alignment, but it's hard to see exactly where the Khentkawes alignment is. It's better to align it with a pyramid, and that looks pretty much dead on with the Wall of the Crow. Or it might be a few days difference, which is kind of, I guess, the same festival. Let's bring it up and let's look up the second alignment. So that's one alignment. So let's move it back to, say, let's try earlier in the year, the earlier version. So May. And May, say the 12th. Okay, it's there. Okay, let's not try May. Let's try April. You see, now we're coming back. So this is the other alignment earlier on in the year. So let's go April 2nd. Oh, that's pretty close. That looks pretty darn close. Let's try April the 3rd. I can't tell the difference. Let's try April the 4th. Yeah, it's more like April the 4th. It's not quite. Let's try April the 5th. No, I think we're moving the wrong way. Yeah, we're moving the wrong way. Okay, let's get back to April the... It's almost dead on, but it's not quite. So let's get back to April. Let's try April the 1st. Oh, that's what we want. That's what we want. Yeah, it looks like it's April the 1st or April the 2nd. That's pretty damn close. So, people, what happens on April the 1st or April the 2nd? I guess we're going to have to look this up, aren't we? So, let's go back to the... Let's get the window out of the way again. Let's get that window out of the way. We don't need that. And let's go to April. So, let's go back to the Coptic calendar. It seems to really like Coptic dates. I reckon the reason is it's easier to see what the Coptic dates are than what the ancient Egyptian dates were, but they're pretty much the same. So let's go to April, January, and notice we start the year, so it points to New Year. We know that. It points to September. That's what it points to. It's not a coincidence, people. This is not a coincidence. Let's go to April. So let's check it out. March, April. So we're looking at April 1st or April the 2nd. So we have something going from March till April, the month of Paramhat, and also the month of Paramuti, or Baramuda. Baramuda, that's interesting. It sounds almost like Buddha, doesn't it? So what happens in these months? Now we're looking for April 2, so that's not obvious yet. It will be obvious. We're going to see. We're going to find it, people. Well, I'm not going to stop till we find it. There's something there. So April 9, departure of Aaron the priest. So yeah, okay, that goes on. Let's go back. Let's look at the previous month. Let's look at Toby. We're gonna. Oh no. Let's look at where were we? April. Oh yeah. Let's look at Paramhat and let's look at what is happening April 2. This is cool as, isn't it? So we're deciphering Giza. Yeah, should have been done 100 years ago when they discovered these alignments, but to be honest, they didn't want to do any astronomy. It should have been done a long time ago. Let me see. So what do you reckon? We're looking at Gregorian, which is today's calendar, and we're going to go to April 1st and 2nd. There we go. Departure of Daniel the prophet, apparition of Our Lady of Zeton, departure of St. Macarius I, departure of a saint. So this is interesting. Oh, there's a saint who's a virgin. And then April the 5th, crucifixion of our Lord Jesus Christ. March the 30th, commemoration of the Holy Virgin St. Mary, Mother of God, commemoration of the visit of our Lord to Bethany. There's a lot happening around here. It's around Easter-ish, raising of Lazarus from the dead. This is interesting. So it's all just as Jesus is supposedly entering Jerusalem. That's very interesting. Departure of Lazarus. So it's a kind of Easter-ish kind of festival. That's interesting. What we need to do is we need to look up basically ancient Egyptian holy days. But I'll go to the comments. Let's see what people are saying. They're saying awesome energy in chat. Mock us still. They don't want us to know the truth. It's obvious. The math for the Giza Plateau has already been done. Enoch. Oh yeah. Cave of Wonders. Yeah. Jay Smith. Hi, Dr. Cos. Hi, Jay Smith. Yeah. Nice. So, rub your head for good luck. What, like that? I like the idea that it's tomorrow afternoon in Oz. I hear Australian birds. They have an accent. Oh, you can hear the birds from outside. Cool. They're just crows. Well, the crow. That's interesting. Oh, they're magpies or crows. I don't know what they are. Jafuli says, bah. King X says, Eureka. Ricky says, got them all worked out. Erin says, I lost you for a year. Finally found you again this week. Wow. Yeah, they haven't been showing my channel to everyone, so it's been funny. Ryan says April Fools. Oh! Yeah, April 1st is April Fools. So we should be looking at the origin of April Fool's Day, because so this religion, we can find the Egyptian religion worldwide because they come from somewhere in Central Asia, because they're so similar because we just look at the Chinese pyramids to see it's the same people that were operating in China. So are they from Asia somewhere? So it would be April Fools. Now that's very interesting. We're going to look up April Fools. Matt says April 9, Festival of Harvest Goddess Renenutet. Great Monkey King says exciting. Ricky says that they're telling us how freaking stupid we are. Jafuli says you can't wash your hands, by the way. That's how stupid you are. Ricky says Chucky doesn't count. Monaco says YouTube is a mess. They seem to enjoy throwing wrenches. Monkey King says, not a coincidence. This is science. Yes, you're right. Yes. Jafuli says, I don't think anyone here is stupid, by the way. Not at all. Yeah, exactly. This is so cool. Amanda B says, I have a crow, lol. It's afternoon. They come. Whoa. Are the crows taking over around in Ride? Nice. Fire Marshal Bill Burns. Hey, he says, what are your thoughts on the strange Egyptian-like statue Upat found in Mongolia, according to Klaus Donor? I don't know that, but I'll have to check that out. But I don't know that. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to find out what festival is April the 1st, April the 2nd, and let's look up Easter holidays, and let's see what's going on. So Easter is April the 4th. What are the Easter dates for 2020? And why does the date change every year? So it changes, but it hovers around a point. It doesn't move away too far away from that point. So, okay, this is interesting. No wonder it moves. It's based on moon calculations. Is that how they do it? Okay, so Easter moves around. Okay, so it's between March 22 and April the 25th. Okay. That's interesting. Now, why would there be an April Fool's Day where you make fun of people? That doesn't sound nothing like from Christianity. That sounds a bit weird. So I'm going to look up April Fools. Passover date starts from April the 8th. So why would Khentkawes and the Wall of the Crow point to April the 1st? That's the problem we need to look up. So what kind of pagan date was April the Fool's? Now, here's the thing, right? Okay, here's the thing. Someone told me the Pharaoh was the vizier or wizard of Egypt. So he's got the big hat, and that's a fool's hat. So they would have put on the fool's hat for April the 1st. And it sounds like, okay, April Fools. Now, the other festival we saw was associated with drunkenness. So that's another kind of fooling around. So what if I look up history of April Fools? And what's it going to tell us? Let's just have a look, because that's basically what it points to. And we'll keep looking, we'll probably find an Egyptian one as well for April Fools. That Coptic one, maybe not, but we'll find an ancient Egyptian one for April Fools. So, yeah, it's dressing up. Okay, priests would dress up, that's what they're good at. April Fool's Day, celebrated on April the 1st each year, has been celebrated for several centuries. Yeah, it says several centuries. You know, it's... Playing hoaxes or practical jokes, yelling April Fool. G History Channel, I could never have worked that one out on my own, but thank you very much. Now it says here, historians speculate it goes back, so this is what conventional history says, it goes back to 1582. Now, why would a pagan ceremony like that be where we don't know how it came about, be invented in a historical time frame where people can record things in books. Does that make any sense to you? Right, so, as called by the Council of Trent, 1563, people who were slow to get the news or failed to recognise that the start of New Year had moved to January 1st and continued to celebrate it during the last March through April 1st, became the butt of jokes and hoaxes and were called April Fools. Oh, so this is the other New Year. So there are two New Years. So the first alignment points to one New Year, and the other alignment points to the other New Year. And it happened when there was a switch from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar. But how does that work for us? Does that work for us? I'm not convinced it does. Spring equinox around April 1. Now, if that's not a pagan festival, nothing is a pagan festival. So the year is the day and night are equal in length. This is cool as. So let's just it says spring equinox. Let's just verify. Let's just, because that's not the equinox. Let's just it's March 22. If that was equinox, it would point east-west. That's not the equinox. So History Channel, you're out. Sorry. But yeah, April 1. Let's just verify again that it's April 1. We didn't get that wrong. I don't think we got that wrong. Let's just have a look. Bring that up. We bring up the helium window. We have a look. Bam. 1st April 2020. Yeah. It points to April 1. There's no mistake here, and that ain't no equinox. History Channel, get your house in order, please. That's not an equinox. All right. Yeah. So that's interesting. So it says here, or maybe it was an equinox in the older calendar it was an equinox. Okay, I'm the stupid one. Okay. So these pranks involved having a paper fish placed on their backs and being referred to as poisson d'Avril, April fish, and to symbolise a young. Well, that's like the loaves of the fishes of Jesus, isn't it? An easily caught fish and a gullible person. Right, historians have linked April Fool's Day to festivals such as Hilaria, Latin for joyful, which was celebrated in ancient Rome at the end of March by followers of the cult of Cybele. Oh, there we go. So, guess what? Cybele is is a name for one of the triple goddesses, the Roman version of basically something related to Artemis Hecate. It's more like Hecate. Hecate is very primordial, ancient goddess. It involved people dressing up in disguises and mocking fellow citizens and even magistrates, and was said to be inspired by the Egyptian legend of Isis, Osiris, and Seth. Isis, Osiris, and Seth. This is some kind of love triangle where Osiris ends up being chopped into little pieces by Seth, who wants to get Isis. I better say Isis, so I don't get demonetized. But I've already said it, so I won't get that $1.50 from this video, but that's okay. So there's also speculation April Fool's Day was tied to the vernal equinox, the first day of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, when Mother Nature, okay, in the old calendar maybe, when Mother Nature fooled people with changing, unpredictable weather. So let's keep reading, but I'll go to the comments first so we can see the comments. So, Jafuli says Daniel departed on the 1st. Let's just see what's going on here. There we go. So Dave Turner says, is the Mayan calendar angels months? What are the angles of those? Ryan says, lol. Great Monkey King says, like medieval Festival of Fools. Erin Murphy says, History Channel sucks. Fire Marshall says, what are your thoughts on the... Oh, it just moved. On the Indonesian pyramids. I think they're pretty ancient. Ricky says they're mocking us. Erin says, History Channel still sucks. Yeah. And don't play their game. Amanda says, don't play their game. Ancient history criticisms. April 1st tied to vernal equinox. Monkey King says, it sounds just like the Babylonian holiday you just mentioned. Actually, it does. There was a reason I was reading that. A synchronicity was occurring, you see. That's cool as. Erin Murphy says, Greek Easter usually a different Sunday than Catholic, but both are based on moon. Alan Godden says, the fool's hat, the witch's hat, the Sumerian god's hat. Bingo. So Hilaria, yes, Hilaria in Rome. Amanda says, locked us up but kept booze open. Ricky says, what's the Roman thing where they made the masters of slaves and the slaves the masters, wasn't it? Maybe. I've heard of that. Yeah, could be right. Fast Eddie says something about Bill Gates. Everything Gates does is terrifying. He's a little bit of a wacko, isn't he? We're talking about fools and now Gates. There we go. They go together. This is so good. So this is interesting. So let's continue. History of April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day spread throughout Britain during the 18th century. In Scotland, the tradition became a 2-day event, starting with hunting the gowk, in which people were sent on phony errands. Gowk is a word for cuckoo bird or symbol for fool, and followed by Taily Day, which involved pranks played on people's derrieres, such as pinning fake tails or kick me signs on them. That's interesting. April Fool's Day pranks. Okay, I'll just read the first bit. In 1957, the BBC reported that Swiss farmers were experiencing a record spaghetti crop and showed footage of people harvesting noodles from trees. Yeah. And Richard Nixon was apparently running for president again in 1992, but it was an actor. Okay, cool. That's so that's interesting. So April Fool's Day seems to be some wizard ritual or something like the Babylonian tradition that Monkey King mentioned, that we mentioned earlier. Basically, what happens is the wizard starts slapping the king and says, "You fool, prove yourself," and it's a bit like that. I guess this slapping also became the knight thing. Like, I'll make a fool out of you by slapping you. I'll challenge you to a duel. Okay, let's look up April Fool's Day on Wiki and let's see what that says, because this clearly goes back to ancient Egypt and it's clearly the end of it's the end of the year in the old calendar. So that's interesting. It's craftiness. So there we go. It's in Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. So this idea that it's from the 1500s that you saw on the History Channel, what a bunch of rot. They could have just checked Wikipedia. Maybe Wikipedia's changed since then. A vain cock, shorn to clear, is tricked by a fox on Sin March, began 30 days and 2. Okay, well, I can't really understand that. That's in Middle English. And see, you can't even understand Middle English. So what hope in heck do we have of understanding Old English? And we don't. And it goes on and on and on. So some writers suggest April Fool's Day originated because in the Middle Ages, New Year's Day was celebrated on March 25th in most European towns, with a holiday that in some areas of France ended on April the 1st. Those who celebrated New Year's Eve on January the 1st made fun of those who celebrated on other dates by the invention of April Fool's Day. The use of January 1st as a New Year's Day became common in France only in the mid-16th century, and the date was not officially adopted until 1564 by the Edict of Roussillon. In 1561, Flemish is Belgium, poet Edouard de Dain wrote of a nobleman who sent his servants on foolish errands on April the 1st. In Netherlands, April Fool's Day is attributed to the Dutch victory in 1572 at Bray, where a Spanish Duke Alvarez de Toledo was defeated. And there's a proverb which can be translated as, "On the 1st of April, Alva lost his glasses." I don't understand that, but whatever. John Aubrey is a great archaeologist. Referred to the celebration as Fool's Holy Day, the first British reference. So he says Fool's Holy Day, the holy day of fools. And in 1698, several people were tricked into going to the Tower of London to see lions washed. That's so fascinating. This is so fascinating, people. Wow. This is cool as. So we're starting to see that. So New Year's towards the end of March 25th. That's also kind of the start of Easter. And then you have the end of Christ. And then a holy day, which would maybe, since it's the new year, it's like you're slapping the king, that Babylonian festival, and you're reaffirming the king's power for a new year. And so we see two different types of New Year commemorated at the Wall of the Crow by that alignment, and the alignment also of the Khentkawes Causeway New Year. And it's two New Years. It aligns to April the 1st, and it aligns to the 11th of September, which is the Coptic New Year. So there are two New Years happening here. And it looks like there might have been even... It's interesting. So it's interesting there's two New Years in Egypt, but this commemorates both of them, and this shows this is a New Year's alignment. So we can add it to all of this, to these alignments that I showed earlier, the Halloween and the entrance to the temple, to the Spring Breeze Transfiguration Mountain Festival, and to the Nile festivals. So there we go. That is the two different New Years, the Khentkawes Causeway alignment. That is amazing. Are there any other alignments? Do people want to check any other alignments at Giza? Otherwise, we'll just do the questions. But let me know, what other alignments there are. Like, how good is this? Is this good or what? Lucas says they used to beat me up in high school. That doesn't sound very good to me, Lucas. Ancient History Criticism says, bonus points to Charles for his friend's pronunciations. Well, thanks so much, Ancient. Jafuli says, well said, Amanda. Ricky says, frequency is energy. Alan Godden says, yes, music John Todd ex-Illuminati speaks extensively on rock. Lucas Hope says, anyone who acted the way he did in high school should not be a hippie. Right. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's very interesting. Scattercat Jones says, goes to show how little we know about our history and how manipulated it must be. Yeah, this is cool. This is really good. So let's go up a bit, and this is very interesting. Jafuli gave me something. Thanks, Jafuli. Wow, great work, Chucky. April Fool's could have been a bit longer than a day, possibly part of a week's ceremony. Thanks so much, Jafuli. Nice. Wow. Cool. So there we go. Yeah, this was part of a long ceremony. I mean, this is amazing. Ricky says Saturnalia. That's what it was, but I think that was Christmas. Let's look up the... Okay. Let's look up the date. Let's look up Saturnalia, because the Romans... So in old maps of Rome, there's pyramids there, and the pyramids are on the west bank of the Tiber, just like the pyramids in Egypt are on the west bank of the Nile. So let's check that out. So Saturnalia. Saturnalia... This is cool as. The ancient Roman festival of Saturn in December, a period of general merrymaking and the predecessor of Christmas. Interesting. So, when did Saturnalia become Christmas? During the reign of Emperor Augustus, 63 BC to AD 14. It was a 2-day affair starting on December 17th. By the time Lucian described the festivities, it was a 7-day event. Changes to the Roman calendar moved the climax of Saturnalia to December 25th, time of the winter solstice. So, yeah, it's kind of a similar, I guess, end-of-year festival. So they had So it looks like the Romans had an end-of-year. It looks like the Romans had two different end-of-years as well, because that's quite interesting. But let's look up Saturnalia. Let's look at the Wikipedia. I think it's better than the History Channel version, to be honest with you, because it's updated more frequently. And... it was celebrated at the Temple of Saturn, public banquet, private gift-giving, continual partying, a carnival atmosphere that overturned Roman social norms, gambling permitted, masters permitted table service for their slaves. So masters become slaves, slaves become masters. What I want to do instead of reading this, I want to look up actually Roman holidays, and I want to look up the two dates, 11 September and 1st April, to see what's going on. So let's look up the Roman festival. There we go. This will tell us what the Egyptians were up to, I hope. You excited? I'm excited. Yes, so let's move this silly window down there to get it out of the way. That's good. So, alright, let's go. So let's go to Aprilis. 1st April, Veneralia in honor of Venus. Huh. So it's in honor of the goddess. Veneralia was the ancient Roman festival celebrated April the 1st. Let's see if I can make that bigger for you. In honor of Venus, Verticordia, Venus the changer of hearts, and Fortuna virilis, mannery of virile fortune, The cult of Venus Verticordia was established in 220 BC, just before the beginning of the Second Punic War, in response to advice from a Sibylline oracle, when a series of prodigies was taken to signify divine displeasure at sexual offences among Romans of every category and class, including several men and 3 Vestal virgins. Her statue was dedicated by a young woman, chosen as the most pudica, sexually pure. It's like prude, in Rome by a committee of Roman matrons. At first, the statue was probably housed within the temple to Fortuna Virilis, the cult older than that to Venus Verticordia, but possibly perceived as weak or gone to seed, may have benefited from the moral and religious support of Venus as a relatively new but senior deity. For Ovid, Venus's acceptance of the epithet and its responsibilities represented the goddesses. Okay, well, that's there's a lot of information here. Basically, this is really interesting. So, and that sounds nothing like April Fool's. It just says, during the Veneralia, her cult image was taken to her temple to the men's baths, where it was undressed and washed in warm water by female attendants, then garlanded with myrtle. At the Veneralia, women and men asked Venus Verticordia for help in affairs of the heart, sex, betrothal, and marriage. Okay, so this is a serious cult which happened on April the 1st. Ritual bathings and adornment of the cult statue of Venus. So there's also a kind of mother goddess fertility festival happening on the 1st, which is interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting indeed. And where's that other festival we mentioned that was a sort of a Roman festival? That doesn't seem to be here. That's interesting. Like, what's going on with that? Didn't we mention there was another festival around this time, which was the precursor of April Fools, and this is not here for some reason? Are they looking at the Julian calendar? Someone tell me what's going on. That's a bit weird. But let's go to September. Let's go to September and see what's happening. Augustus. September. We're looking for 11. Well, on the 13th we have the Ides, as anniversary of the temple to Jupiter, Optimus Maximus. So basically that means Jupiter, the biggest, best, and Apulum Lovis, and Apulum to the Capitoline Triad. So again, we're looking at a triple god, an ancient triple god, a very old ceremony. That's the Capitoline Triad. Wow, so it looks like Rome had their own Hermes Trismegistus. Who knew? Capitolium, cap means cap, head, temple of the best and greatest on the Capitoline. This is so fascinating. And you see this goes on and on, but it looks like, to me, in analysing the Roman part, we're actually getting away from what's going on at Giza, and it's a little bit different from what's going on at Giza. Looks like what's going on at Giza might be more... well, we don't know what's going on, but we see here that it was the Festival of Venus, and it was the other festival as well. So let's go down. Let's see what's happening. Matthew Forrest says, to stop geopolymer breaking off. Silly Goose says, we can track submarines underwater from space due to gravity anomalies. Ricky says, for some, Amanda's others not so much. Jafuli Porches says, the festival from the 5th. What was the festival on the 5th? Okay. September the 5th or April the 5th? September 5th. Ludi Romani or Ludi Magni, the oldest and most famous of the Ludi. Okay, let's have a look. Ludi Romani, Roman Games, was a religious festival in ancient Rome, usually including multiple ceremonies called Ludi. They were held annually starting in 366 BC. The festival introduced drama to Rome based on Greek drama. So origins. The Games, the chief Roman festival held in honour of Jupiter, are said to have been established by Tarquinius Priscius on the occasion of his conquest of the Latin town of Appiolae. However, Dionysius of Halicarnassus and Cicero date them to the Roman victory over the Latins at Lake Regillius during the early Republic, circa 496 BC. So it's some kind of death games or funerary games or something. When and why? The games are not necessarily held every year from their inception, so it's a triumphal ceremony. It's a games. But what I saw here was, you see this? So the games at the Circus Maximus for Sol and Luna, for Sun and Moon, and that's interesting. But yeah, that would cover September 11th. So it's a festival games, a funerary games. That's interesting. Is it New Year? That's not really New Year though. That's a bit different. So again, we're getting away from the Egyptian thing, to my opinion. But let's have a look up at April, June, April. So let's look at just before Veneralia. We have anniversary of the Temple of Luna on the Aventine. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Let's get back to the questions. Have a look. So Sean Co says he's got the wine out. Ancient History Criticism says Baalbek has a Venus temple, mostly destroyed and off limits to tourists. Well, does Baalbek have a causeway? We can check it. Or we can check alignments. We should check Baalbek alignments. This would be interesting. Yeah. So, Great Monkey King says Puden, and we're not going to translate it because you can read what it means. And, it's interesting. So interesting. Yeah. So what do people think about all that? So we've seen, to summarise, let's summarise. What have we learnt today? So today we've learnt, and I didn't know any of this, and no one knew any of this, that this and this, the Wall of Crow, these point to September 11 or September the 12th, which is the Coptic New Year, and they point to April Fool's Day. So not only are we pointing to Halloween, but we're pointing to April Fool's Day at Giza. This is just crazy. Now, I think we should look up Babylonian festivals, because the Babylonians and the early Egyptians of the Giza era are the same civilization, or are very similar. They have a common ancestor. So let's look up Babylonian festivals. Because I want more information about this April Fool's Day. I haven't got much so far, because I haven't. Need to look up more. So the Akitu festival again. So the Akukufu, the name of the pyramid, Akukufu, and the Babylonian version is Akitu, Babylonian New Year. So Akitu, 3rd millennium BC, the first month of the year, that is March, April. So it's basically probably April Fools. This is probably the oldest April Fools we've seen so far. I'll make that bigger so we can read it together. It is celebrated in the first month of the year, that is March, April. The month is known as Nisanu, and in the modern calendar is called Nisan. Since the festival was celebrated on the first days of the Babylonian year, we call it a New Year's festival. In fact, the ancient Babylonians called it Res Satim, beginning of the year. Res Satim. That sounds like the Egyptian beginning of the year, doesn't it? And here we have the first April Fool. And look at how he's dressed. Is he not dressed foolishly? The festival, better, conglomerate of festivals, was celebrated on 2 locations in Babylon. In the temple of the supreme god Marduk, the Esagila, and the House of the New Year, which was situated north of the city. The 2 gods who were in the centre of the festival were Nabu and his father, the supreme god Marduk, who in the 1st millennium BCE was usually called Bel, Lord, because his real name was considered too holy to be pronounced. On 4th Nisanu, the high priest of Esagila opened the festival, saying the new year had begun. To the populace, this meant the beginning of a week. On the same day, the king went to the temple of Nabu, where the high priest gave him the royal scepter. He then travelled to Borsippa, a city 17 kilometres downstream from Babylon that had a famous Nabu temple. Here he spent the night. At the same time, the Sesgalu recited the Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, in the House of the New Year. Oh, you see, there was a House of the New Year. So that means the Pyramid of Khentkawes and whatever was here is the House of the New Year. That's interesting. Let's continue. That's cool. I'm going to write House of the New Year on that map. The 5th of Nisanu saw the king's return to Babylon, accompanied by the statue of Nabu from Borsippa. The statue was left behind in the Uras Gate and the king went to Asagila to meet Marduk. He had to do this humbly, laying down his weapons, crown, and scepter. The Sesgalu listened to the king's words that he had not sinned against Marduk, and hit him very hard on the cheek. Pow! The king had to have tears in his eyes. Perhaps this was a punishment for sins that were unwillingly committed. Kneeling in front of the statue of Marduk, the king receives an oracle about the glorious future and was given back his royal insignia. At sunset, the king and the Sesgalu performed a not completely understood ritual with a white bull. Next day, the statue of Nabu visited the temple of Ninurta, where it defeated two enemies in the form of golden statuettes. Then it continued to the Esagila, where it joined Marduk's statue. At the same time, other statues of other gods arrived at Babylon. So they were carrying these statues around the country as if they're an Olympic torch. So I guess the Greeks were doing something similar with their Olympic torch. It was a fire god. So why would the Greeks have been carrying it? Well, did they do this? Did they carry a fire god around their country? This Iranian ritual, and this was in Greece? Did they bring it to Greece when they established the first Olympiad in their Orientalizing period, which was really, according to one Turkish historian, Easterners coming to live in Greece? Interesting. Next day, the statue of Nabu visited, where it defeated two enemies in the form of golden statuettes. It sounds like a big game of chess, does it not? On 7 Nisanu, the statues were cleaned and received new dresses. On the next day, the festival reached its climax when all statues were brought out from their rooms and shown to the Babylonian populace. All gods were now present to honour Marduk, and their parliament announced its policy for the next year. One is reminded of the State of the Union speech by the American president. As far as we know, this policy was always one of blessing, fortune, and success. After these joyful tidings, the gods started a tour through the city to the river. Here they boarded a small fleet that brought them to the house of the new year. The king himself guided the supreme god. On the last part of the route, the ships were placed on chariots so that the gods were driven to the house of the new year in ships. See, that's what the Egyptians did. They had an ark that looked like a ship and they put the god on top. The people were singing all kinds of songs. 3 of them can be reconstructed. A frivolous hymn to the goddess of sexuality and love, Ishtar, a song in which Marduk's father Enlil was ridiculed as a god in the gutter, and an antiphonal hymn in which the gods were asked why they were not in their temples and replied that they had to be with Marduk. What happened in the house of the new year on 9-10 Nisanu is not known, but it seems that sacrifices were made by the king and that the spoils of war were presented to the gods. On 11 Nisanu, the gods returned to the Esagila, where they repeated their parliament. After this, they saw Nabu off and went home. The Atiku festival continued for centuries, and not only in Babylon. In Palmyra, the temple of Baal was inaugurated in the same date as Atiku. At the beginning of the 3rd century BC, it was still celebrated in Emesa in Syria to honour the god Elagabal. The Roman emperor Heliogabalus even introduced the festival in Italy, and that's in Herodian's Roman history. So we have here a Babylonian foolish festival in which the gods are paraded around, and it seems even the gods are made fun of. And that is something the Egyptians would have done. The Egyptians did bully their gods and make fun of their gods. The Babylonians, not so much. So I don't know why they're doing it. But the Egyptians could command their gods in rituals and festivals and so forth. That's fascinating. Zagmuk, beginning of a year, is a Mesopotamian festival celebrating the new year. Oh, this fell in December, so this is a different new year, a December new year. So we have a September new year, we have a December new year, we have an April new year. There must have been 3 great ancient empires who had their new years at 3 different times, and ancient cultures chose to retain this. The cosmic parents An and Ki, who brought the world into beginning at the dawn of time. If an eclipse of the sun fell on any of the 12 days of the ceremony, what's that, 12 days of Christmas? A substitute for the king was put in his place, since it was thought that any evils might have befallen the king would accrue to the substitute instead. On the last day of the festival, the king was slain so he could battle at Marduk's side. To spare their king, Mesopotamians utilised a mock king, played by a criminal who was anointed as king before the start of Zagmuk and killed on the last day. So that's interesting. So The 12 days of Christmas, by the way, seems to originate in which it was a time of 12 days, a time of danger for the king in which he could be substituted. And it's a battle of Marduk and Chaos lasting 12 days. What do you know? That's interesting. There's another one, Novruz. Very Indo-European word. Novruz. Persian. New Day. Iranian New Year. Celebrated for 7,000 years. Iran, Afghanistan, Albania, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and goes on. Tajikistan, Syria, Russia. A secular holiday, vernal equinox, and this is what culminates in April Fools. So Novruz is the day of the vernal and marks the beginning of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. The first day of the month, Farvardin of the Iranian calendars, occurs on March 21, or the previous or following day. The moment the sun crosses the celestial equator and equalizes night and day is calculated exactly every year, and families gather together to observe the rituals. Yeah. It means new day, Novruz. When it's calculated, Novruz lasts 13 days. On the 13th day of the new year, Iranians leave their houses to enjoy nature and picnic outdoors as part of the Siz Debedar ceremony. The greenery grown for the Haft-Sin getting is thrown away, particularly into running water. It is also customary for young single people, especially young girls, to tie the leaves of the greenery before discarding it, expressing wish to find a partner. Another custom associated with Siddar Beddar is the playing of jokes and pranks similar to April Fool's Day. So remember we saw on the History Channel website, April Fool's Day originated in the 1500s, and this one's 7,000 years old. So it goes all the way back. Let's check the comments, see where people are at the moment. And to those who have just tuned in, what we're doing is we've just calculated that these alignments, this alignment here, Khentkawes and the Wall of the Crow, which is at Giza. There's the Giza pyramids. Point 2, September 12th, September 11th, and to April the 1st. These were both New Years. April the 1st is the culmination of one New Year, and there's another type of New Year, the Coptic New Year, which is September the 11th, the beginning of the Coptic religious New Year. So it looks like there was a secular New Year, a religious New Year, and they've lined this up to that date. And it seems, you don't just line it up to two different dates. It seems those two different dates were generated by one alignment that occurs twice a year. And that's what these pyramids are pointing to. And this video was generated by the fact ancient architect talked about this Wall of the Crow as actually being a causeway, a processional. And we've just proven it's correct. It is a causeway, a processional. He said maybe it pointed to Norden's pyramid, the Black Pyramid, which is not here. That is a processional. That is a causeway. That is amazing. That is the Wall of the Crow. Wall of the Crow. There we go. That's the Wall of the Crow right there. Ancient architects said, there's a crow there. Look at that. Just fascinating. That's amazing. That's just amazing. Now about the Wall of the Crow, let's just read about it. But first I'll check the comments. Seeing how we're going, because this is a lot of fun. Yeah, this is so good. So Matt says September 11, Nile River rises, so the prayers are lifted to God for the rising of the waters of the rivers for irrigation and ask his blessings at the beginning of the Coptic New Year. Nice, thanks for finding that. That's cool. Monkey King says Tiamat, like Diomat, Mother God. Alan says Marduk is said to be the great Satan, the opposer. Cisco says a criminal sentenced to death can be a god for one day. Jafuli says I found some places in UK this week. I'll get something for Chucky and the cosmonauts ASAP. Nice. So Jafuli goes around. He was the guy who he actually went up to Stonehenge to look at the snake monument at Stonehenge, which no one knows about. So good on you. Stardust says, and he went to other ancient sites as well, although we didn't find what we were hoping to find, which was, I was sitting here and he was driving around, and we were hoping to find cyclopean rocks on the surface where there were significant things on the map, things of mathematical significance, but we just couldn't find those, unfortunately. There was nothing on the surface. It had been quarried away by some clever person a long time ago, and he probably sold it for $20 or something like that. Ancient History Criticism says, I bet there are temple complexes in India that will parallel the Egyptian and South American alignments. I bet you're correct. Amanda says, Charles, this all adds up and joins together and is valid. It is indeed. Yeah, it is indeed. Matthew says, what was the ethnicity of pre-dynastic Egyptians? They had every ethnicity. They were so one of their ethnicities was Germanic. There was also an African ethnicity there as well. So they have a bit of everything, and probably I would guess Asian as well. Third and fourth dynasty seem very Asian. The Khufu dynasty seems to be straight from Asia because the pyramids are so damn similar. Although you would say the first dynasty pyramids are even more Chinese than the fourth dynasty pyramids, because those pyramids are actually like the Chinese pyramids. Chinese pyramids don't have a causeway. Instead of a causeway, they just point the pyramid like we saw, like this. The Chinese pyramids are like this. Instead of pointing north, south, east, west, they're like Khentkawes. They just point the pyramid and they don't bother with the causeway. So this causeway might have been put in later. Whereas if you just point the pyramids north, east, south, west, then you put in a narrow causeway to show what the pyramid is supposed to be pointing to, like that causeway or that causeway, and that's how that would work. Yeah. So where were we? Let's read about the Wall of Crow. There is a massive ancient. I can't make that bigger. I'll just read it. There is a massive ancient stone wall that stands a few hundred yards south of the Sphinx, but because it lay partially buried and overshadowed by the larger, more famous Great Pyramid, Sphinx and other pyramids, tourists have hardly noticed it. We suspect the Wall of the Crow dated to the Old Kingdom, 4th dynasty, like the Giza pyramids and the Sphinx, but we do not know why the Egyptians built it. Evidence suggests they never completed the mammoth undertaking. They never dressed the masonry to produce a finished face to the structure, as was their standard practice with pyramids, tombs and temple walls. We can now say for certain the Wall of the Crow was built as part of our 4th dynasty complex, and archaeology has led us to some ideas as to its function. Oh, really? Really? Yeah? I don't know about that. But it says it's an ancient roadway through the gate, so there's a road through the gate. A ramp-like surface of an embankment. There's limestone chips. There's massive lintels. The function. Why did the builders put so much effort into an immense stone structure that was not part of the pyramid complex or connected to other structures at Giza? It says the wall may have separated the sacred precincts of the pyramid plateau from the precincts in which the workers lived. The enclosure wall that bounds the gallery complex on the west nearly abuts the Wall of the Crow, and the regulated passageways out of the settlement, especially Main Street, the principal axis, led straight to the massive gateway in the Wall of the Crow. And they can see where it ends in the east. The eastern and the wall slumped in 2 layers of large stones, the result of collapse and robbing in late antiquity. And that's as far as its function. It doesn't really tell us what the function is. They don't know anything about the astronomy. They've suggested flood control. They've suggested sacred structure because there's graves nearby, the Islamic cemetery. There's child burials closer to the eastern end, higher than other areas, 60% with 27% in a nearby square. The children are adorned with jewellery and amulets, while adult burials contained no grave accoutrements. We do not understand the significance of the special child burials. Well, they're closer to the sun, so it's rebirth. Closer to the east. So they don't know anything about the April Fool's Day or the Coptic New Year happening at the Wall of the Crow, which is actually a religious causeway. I mean, isn't that cool? That's amazing. Yeah. And that's off. This is definitely not to scale. That's midsummer. This is according to one website. This guy said, hey, hang on, it's a causeway. That is not pointing to the midsummer sunrise, and that is not pointing that direction, as we just saw. We can see quite clearly on the map where it's pointing. But yeah, that's interesting. So, where were we? So, we're looking at this ceremony. So let's look at this April Fool's Day Iranian ceremony, which is 7,000 years old. Sizda Beda, Nature's Day, is an Iranian festival held on the 13th day of Farvardin, the first month of the Iranian calendar, during which people spend time picnicking outdoors. And it basically says sprouting greens back into nature. You throw away the greenery, you knot the greenery together to give it to girls. The Lie of the 13, an Iranian version of the prank playing April Fool's Day, is observed on the 1st or 2nd day of April. Oh, and do you notice, I wasn't sure quite whether the alignment was the 1st day or the second day of April. It seemed to be a bit of both, but probably closer to the first day, which was observed on the first or second day on the month of Sizdar Bedar. Pranks are reportedly been played on this holiday since 536 BC. So History Channel told us April Fool's Day was invented in the 1500s, but here we see it was around in 536 BC. You know, just a tiny bit of research, and they don't do it. Just a tiny bit of research. That's interesting. So I've satisfied myself that April Fool's Day is ancient, but what we really want now, I'm not satisfied yet, we need the Egyptian festivals. So ancient Egyptian festival dates. That's what we want this. Well, Google seems to be sourcing this ancient angel fire website. That's interesting. Okay. Check the comments. So, Alan says, most beautiful place, Elysium Gardens. Jafuli says, I was saying, yeah, boy. Haha. Cisco says, why did they build causeways? Because! Yeah, that's what archaeologists say. Because! Amanda says, cow, bull, boy, stop. Lol, what you speak, boy, is. Jafuli says, boy is English, just the one in the sea. What else do we have here? Stardust says, I love uncovering all the cover stories, great job. Ricky Spence says Scandinavian. Amanda says Asterix is awesome, lol. Ancient History Criticism says that lintel is huge. Yeah, the lintel on the wall, the crow, is massive. Ricky Spence says Aztecs. Ricky also says Asterix had a better calendar, laughing my butt off. Great Monkey King says years are 365 days and a quarter days, so every 4 years a day must be added. Ricky says interesting date that they choose. Amanda says now time will add up. Nowhere Man says, is there not a legend about the role of the crows? I'm not sure. Let me know. Rowan says, oh, Jesus was Phoenician. Erin says, now I always thought one of the oldest New Year's was November 1st because day after Halloween, Khufu. It looks like there are lots of ancient New Years and they want to keep all of them, so they made different causeways, different alignments to match these different New Years. Mega Baz says Twin Towers. Yeah. So what I want to do finally to round out the video is to just find the ancient festival itself. April Fools and ancient. We haven't seen that yet, and 11th of September. And then I'll be happy. Then you'll be happy. Yes. I mean, how good is this? So this is a festival calendar, which he's gleaned from several sources and periods. It was loading up some ad like the Ancient Angel Fire does. But so we're looking at the Gregorian calendar, and we're going to look for. First, let's look at, since we're in the September region, let's check that. That's what the wall the crow points to. September 2, Festival of Osiris. September 4, Ceremony of Transformation through Anpu, Anubis. Ceremony of the Raising of the Jet Pillar. Damn, if you look at these ceremonies, you'll actually see how everything works. That it's the Feast of Osiris, Wazir. The Feast of Osiris. So I'm going to look that up. Feast of Osiris. Osiris. Osiris is actually called Osir. And Oz is God in Germanic. So this is a Germanic god from Doggerland. But that'll be in another video. But let's look up Osiris. Feast of Osiris. Festivals of Ancient Egypt in the Ancient History Encyclopedia. Okay. Sokka. It looks like it was the festival of Sokka first. So Sokka, festival of Koyak. Sokka was an agricultural god in the early dynastic period of Egypt. 3150 to 2613 BC, whose characteristics were later taken on by Osiris. In the Old Kingdom, the Sokka festival was merged with the solemn Koyak festival of Osiris, which observed his death. It was a very somber affair in its early form, but grew to include Osiris' resurrection as well, and was celebrated in the late period of ancient Egypt for almost a month. People planted Osiris gardens and crops during the celebrations, which honoured the god as the plants sprung from the earth, commemorating Osiris' rebirth from the dead. The planting of crops during the festival no doubt dates back to the early worship of Sokar. Interesting. So this was the New Year, the New Year's Day, but it didn't give me a date. See, well, why didn't it give me a date? Some encyclopedia, honestly, that's not a good encyclopedia. At least give me a damn date. And the reason it doesn't give me a date is archaeologists don't want to do astronomy. That's a problem. Wikipedia will probably tell us. So Wikipedia, it has its issues, but at least it tells us a lot of stuff. So he was green, he was vegetation, he was the green man. I'm going to go up festival. So there was Plutarch says sacrifices to Osiris were gloomy, solemn, and mournful, and then a great mystery festival began at Osiris, commemorating at Abydos. Abydos is the first dynasty's capital of Egypt, commemorating the death of the god. On the same day, grain was planted in the ground. The annual festival involved the construction of Osiris beds formed in the shape of Osiris, with soil sown with seed. Fascinating. Then there was a public drama depicting the murder and dismemberment of Osiris, the search for his body by Isis, the triumphal return as a resurrected god, in the battle in which Horus defeated Set. That's interesting. That's very interesting. We're not seeing too much. It's like the Passion of the Christ. There's a first day, a second day, a third day, a fourth day, vigils and prayers. A fifth day, he's reborn at dawn and crowned with the crown of Ma'at, which is truth. The statue of Osiris is brought to the temple. Fascinating. So, it's the new year, and before that, it was a festival of Osiris. So Osiris is the new year, the green man. So this festival of Osiris is the precursor to the Coptic New Year. And that's what happens on the festival of Osiris. A kind of mournful ceremony, but then you'd have April Fools at the same time, I suppose. And it's also a very foolish thing, because he's dismembered and then put back together again, and so interesting. Let's look at the comments. Comments. Jafuli says, "Don't stop, man!" Amanda says, "Scotland." Curtis says, "Sense." Amanda B sounds silly, but Erin says, "I love this ritual." Amanda says, "Good times." Stardust says, "I really believe the Canaanites brought all these rituals to the world and festivals through the Phoenicians." Alan says the Canaanites were Nephilim. Man Network says, "The sacrificial king deal very close to Jesus and criminal they let go." Interesting. Amanda says, "Oh, do Egypt and Scotland dates." Silly Goose says, "Need Chinese pyramids to be properly researched." In fact, yeah, like what we can do, or what even you can do it exactly what I've done just in this video, to just find out what the Chinese pyramids point to. And we will see exactly if they're pointing to the same dates as the Giza pyramids are pointing to. I mean, how good is that? So, what have we learned? So we've learned, so far, for those just tuning in, and there are people tuning in and out all the time, I suppose, Wall the Crow and the Khentkawes alignment, which is not northeast southwest, points to the April Fool's Day and also to the 12th of the 11th of September. That's in addition to the other Giza pyramids pointing to Khafre, pointing to Halloween and the entrance into the temple by the Holy Child Festival. Khufu pointing to the abundance of pointing to the 22nd of April, the Festival of Spring Breeze, and August the 19th, Transfiguration. And Menkore pointing to two different Nile festivals on the 20th of March and the 22nd of September, which are the equinox. So now we know what that is as well, and what the Wall of the Crow is as well. Two different New Years, the September 12th New Year and the April 1st New Year. It looks like there are lots of New Years. When's Chinese New Year? Do you know how many different New Years there are? This is ridiculous. So I still want to look up what the other festival is, April 1st, and then we can finish up. So let's look up April 1st, and then we can wrap up this. April, October, November, December, January. So notice it starts with the month of Thoth. So it's actually starting at the end of July in this calendar. You know what? it looks like there are two different calendars for when the months start, and that makes it even more confusing for us, but we'll go with the one we went with before. The other one was starting in basically September. The Coptic calendar was starting in September, and the Egyptian one's starting at the end of July with the month of Thoth. So it looks like it's changed or something like that, or someone's mixed up the calendars. But anyway, let's go to the 1st of April, and let's see what is going on in ancient Egypt. The day of Hathor. And then April 2 is the day of joy and the Aeneid and crew of Ra. Okay, so we'll look up Day of Joy. Day of Joy sounds like April Fool's, and it might have been April 2nd in ancient Iran. And there's also Day of Hathor. And then coming out of the tongue of Sobek, so that's the pre-Osiris, that's crocodile, that's pre-Osiris, that's the March is the New Year, crucifixion of Christ. So that's interesting. Okay, so April the 1st and April 2nd. So we're going to look up Day of Hathor, Day of Hathor, and Day of Joy. Day of Joy, Egyptian Day of Joy. Let's do that one first, because that one's just so cool. Hathor. Oh, it's the same. It's the same. So we'll just read this and then we'll round it out. So Hathor, Day of Horus. There's a sky deity, mother and consort of the sky god Horus and the sun god Ra, both of whom were connected with kingship, and thus she was the symbolic mother of their earthly representatives, the pharaohs. She was one of several goddesses and acted as the Eye of Ra, Ra's feminine counterpart, and in this form she had a vengeful aspect and protected him from enemies. The beneficent side represented music, dance, joy, love, sexuality, and maternal care, and she acted as a consort of several male deities and the mother of their sons. Good. So let's go to, let's just look up, okay, let's look up the day. The festivals, okay. Drinking and dancing. Revelers. Religious ecstasy. No wonder it's April Fool's Day. Altered states of consciousness to allow them to interact with the divine realm. The festival of drunkenness, the return of the Eye of Ra, which was celebrated on the 20th day of the month of Thout at temples to Hathor and other eye goddesses. It sounds a bit like the Medusa, doesn't it? Or the hags missing the eye. The 3 hags and they're passing the eye around. They want the eye to be returned. It was celebrated as early as the Middle Kingdom, and obviously before that. But it is best known from Ptolemaic and Roman times. Dancing, eating and drinking during the festival of drunkenness represented the opposite of the sorrow, hunger and thirst the Egyptians associated with death. Whereas the rampages of the Eye of Ra brought death to humans, the festival of drunkenness celebrated life, abundance and joy. Oh, in the local Theban festival known as the Beautiful Festival of the Valley, so we covered this in a previous video, which began to be celebrated in the Middle Kingdom, the cult image of Amun in the Temple of Karnak visited the temples in the Theban necropolis, while members of the community went to the tombs of their deceased relatives to eat, drink and celebrate. That's a Halloween festival. Hathor was not involved in this festival until the early New Kingdom. Yeah. This is so good. So it's a festival of silliness, basically. It's silliness, getting drunk, fooling around. And this is a festival of Hathor. So Hathor is like Hecate, basically. It's a woman, a sky deity, consort of Horus, who is the winged falcon, and or consort of Horus and the sun god Ra, both of whom are connected. So the sun. She's the wife of the sun. And we're celebrating her festival. The cow horns, incredibly ancient. The bull worship, incredibly ancient. Very ancient goddess, way before Egypt was named as Egypt, or before it had any name, maybe. I don't know. So, there we go. That's it. We found, to summarise, we found Wall of the Crow and this wall. This causeway both point to 11th September, the festival of Osiris, and April Fool's, which is the beginning of the new year, and also the festival of Hathor. So we have 2 New Years, the Coptic New Year on 11th September, and the April Fool, beginning of the new year. And the celebration, it's like a New Year's holiday. April Fool's a New Year's holiday, you see, isn't that amazing? And that's a festival of Hathor. So, that is at Giza. So this would have been worshipped at Giza. And they said it was never finished. Well, who knows? Who knows? I hope you've enjoyed. Let's check out the comments for a few minutes, and I'll wrap it up because it's already 2 hours. Hey, so Scratch says, "Hey Charlie boy, hey Scratch." Gabrielle Vessel says, 12:20 a.m. Got to go. Can't wait to watch. Wait to watch in full tomorrow. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Gabrielle. I'm on it. If anyone watches this in full, this would be amazing. Curtis says, "Adrenochrome junkies." Scratch says, "Hello, Ricky." Ricky Spence says, "Gabrielle, bye." Ricky says, "See Hathor." Amanda says, "Gold." Stardust says, "I found the info and will leave it in a comment." Nice. Amanda says, "Giza." Ricky says, "Corn is the new world crop." Cisco says, "Origin of corn is a mystery." Yeah, so it is, isn't it? I mean, you look at all where corn comes from. It seems to come from... It seems to basically... all the high... Have you noticed all different high-calorie crops come from the New World? And all the lower-calorie crops like the wheat and everything else and the barley and the rye come from the Old World. What does this tell us? This kind of tells us that the New World was the crops of the lost civilization, which had to have a big world population, and to feed these people the potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the corn and the... Although there's another crop from Asia, the rice, which I think comes from India, and that one they didn't have. Anyway. Scratch says, "I missed tons." Not to worry, Scratch. But yeah, what we've found, what we've just summarised, the two... Khentkawes and the Wall of the Crow point to 2 New Years. The April Fool's Day New Year holiday, which is Hathor, and the Festival of Osiris New Year holiday, which became the Coptic New Year, September 11. This is amazing. So that's at Giza as well, in addition to other holidays and festivals. And the archaeologists don't know, but we do. What else? Yeah, so Amanda says, "What are those alignments?" Cisco says, "So Osiris was put back together." Ricky says, "No, it's just still works. That makes it weird." And so weird, lol. Erin says, "I love this ritual." Yeah. Thunderhawk says, "Born of Osiris is a good band." Nice. Amanda says, "I talk a lot when I'm excited, sorry." Alan says, "The Canaanites were Nephilim." Okay, I think we've covered most of them. Oh, Fire Marshal says, "What are your thoughts on the Bimini Road?" Oh, the Bimini Road is cool. So there was an update done on the Bimini Road in the Journal of Scientific Exploration. The Journal of Scientific Exploration is a journal which is... It's mainly written up by retired academics. So they will say, let's say a professor in geology has a theory about physics. He submits it to the Journal of Scientific Exploration and they publish it. So it's not taken very seriously, but it's brilliant. You can read it all free online. Go to it and search for Bimini Road. I believe there was an update 2004 or in the 90s in the Journal of Scientific Exploration. Someone did a comprehensive analysis of Bimini Road. He explains everything, so check that out. Mega Bez Giggity says, "Nice one, Charles. So what they're going to do next? Who knows?" Matthew says, "Thank you. I see a podcast in your future, sir." Cisco says, "Osiris is cool. Gets chopped up, left for dead, and then shows up later and says, 'Surprise, mofos.'" Jafuli says, "Always in full." Wow, you watch in full. Yes! Good on you, Jafuli. You're the best. Alan says, "Remember, all these pagan dates that coincide with Christian dates is nothing. It's the intent behind the action." Yes, indeed. Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you. Jafuli says, "Genetically modified over for sure." It's like, you can't even... Like, this stuff isn't even in the paleo diet. The grain is not in the paleo diet. If you eat grain, you get unhealthy. It's a recent invention which was done by our distant ancestors, so it's strange. Yeah. Aaron says, "Exactly. Native Americans GMO'd corn. They did." Scratch says, "I have a GIF image that shows the alignments between ancient sites across the world passing through previous pole positions." Interesting. Well, I'll round it out now. Thanks for joining me. Leave your comments in the video as well when it pops up. And I'll click end the stream. Thank you for this. I'll make a map showing what this discovery has shown, like a plan, and I'll put it on my Facebook and on the Twitter. So guys, I love you. Mwah. See you later. It's been great. It's getting dark now. I'm going to chill out. You're going to chill out. Yes, Amanda says, "Man, the Time Machine movie is somehow like I'm seeing Earth right now." Alan says, "Amanda, you got 2.29 thousand subs. Cool. I got 47. Woohoo. Scratch says, I'm sure you've seen it, Manda. Excellent. Excellent. Guys, I love you. Mwah. I'm going to end.